made a decision this morning to flow with life instead of resisting life. Now, I've had this feeling, this image for such a long time, like years and years, of holding onto a branch on the riverbank and letting the river flow past me and not wanting to let go for fear of not knowing where I'm going to end up. And then I was listening to a video yesterday, which I'm going to credit by David Bayer, Bayer, and he was talking about 4 steps to, I don't know what they were for actually, 4 steps to something about wealth, making money or something like that, but none of the steps had anything to do with money. And the first one was to decide, and he explained the Latin word for decide, which I cannot say, and but what it means is to cut off all other options and to make a decision. It means to cut off and nothing else, and that's the only way. And there was 4. There was decide. Oh my gosh, I can't remember them. No, it doesn't matter actually. Let's just stay with the one. I said this was going to be unscripted. So he was talking about deciding, and so to make a decision to do something. So I decided to make a decision. I decided to make the decision, which was to get into flow. Now that sounds a bit hippie, but I know what I mean by that, and that is not just to flow willy-nilly, willy-nilly in life. It's to let go and flow and stop resisting. The key was to stop resisting. And I was outside this morning doing whatever you want to call it. You call it yoga, fitness, exercise, movement, moving around, flailing around on my mat outside, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of it, I lay down because the music was so good that I was listening to. I lay down. It was the right moment. I didn't want to overdo it and kind of like annoy me enough to not do it tomorrow because it was too exhausting. So by the way, this is the first time I've done it, any kind of movement outside for a while. So it was like I'd made a decision in the night, last night, that I was going to do this morning without question, without talking myself out of it, without picking up my phone and scrolling and doing the normal stuff that I usually do. So there's a lot of videos actually that inspired me yesterday. I went on this a blackbird's come to see me. Went on this inspirational kind of learning thread, and another one was by a guy who his channel used to be called the MIT Monk, and he changed it to his real name, which was Sandeep, and I forget his surname. It was incredible. His video was incredible, and I'd watched his after I watched David Bayer. And so I'd made the decision to decide to get up this morning without getting distracted, allowing myself to get distracted, and get my arse out of bed, out the door, onto the patio, and do some kind of movement, because my body is stiff as a fucking board these days because I don't do any movement. So I did. So I came out and just started, and I was like, God, I was just aching and exhausted after swinging my arms around trying to pack my kidneys into action, and anyway, but I kept going, and I just took it gentle, and I just listened to this really, really, really beautiful music. And if you haven't listened to her channel yet, Chantress Seba, Seba, she's incredible, and I think I chose her. She's on my Spotify. There's a playlist on my Spotify because her music is intuitive and it's not written, scripted, and it flows. And that was the mood that I was in. I wanted to also be like that and flow. Now, it's interesting because as I'm talking right now, inside I've got this little kind of clock going, come on, and this little voice going, come on. Because when I've spoken before, like to give testimonials and reviews you know, to people and voice notes. There's someone always said, no, Kathy, that's too long, that's too much. And that's been said to me a lot, that I talk too much and I talk for too long. And one coach of mine said, oh, you're so funny, you'll find your people. I'm like, you condescending bitch. Do you know what I mean? What the fuck? Anyway, but I did take it on board, as in that I was too much, or too weird, or too whatever, too me. And part of why I needed to do this was because I'm finding the more and more that when I am me, the reactions I get from that aren't great. People get tired, roll their eyes, argue back, disagree just because I said it feels like. And so I had to take this back. So as usual, you go back to your childhood, blah blah blah, which I'll go down that road in a minute. But when I was outside at the end of it, I got to the point where I just felt, hang on, that's good now, let's not spoil it and over exercise myself and piss myself off and hurt myself or tire myself out so that tomorrow I can't be asked to do it. So I just lay down on my mat listening to the most appropriate part of her track, which was much more soothing than any of the others, and it was incredible. So I made the decision to let go of this well, not let go of the image I've always had is me hanging onto this kind of branch and my body's in the water and the water's flowing and it's not pulling like harshly, it's just like encouraging, and I've always held on. And this time I let go in my mind. It sounds like it's I don't know if you want to call it meditation. I don't think I'm hippie enough to meditate. I don't even know. Laying down, letting my thoughts flow. Whatever name you want to give that. Visualizing. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm laying there and I let go of this branch, and I'm really good at floating in the water. Like I can float on the surface of water really easy, whereas a lot of other people I've met, I don't think I've ever met anyone who quite floats like me. And they sink, or they say, how do you do that? And I literally can lay on the top of a swimming pool, so salt water obviously because you're more buoyant, but even in a swimming pool I can lay on the surface of a swimming pool, I can scratch my nose, I can stretch my arms above my head and bring them down, I can move around. And I don't sink, I'm literally like flat on the water like it's a flat surface or something. And I've always thought it's like a state of mind. Maybe it's a state of mind, maybe I'm full of hot air. When I did my diving, like deep sea diving qualification, on both times I had to renew it, my PADI, I couldn't get down. The instructor had to put a weight belt on me, like a really heavy weight belt on me, because I wouldn't stay down. And he made a joke back then and said that I was full of hot air. So which was obviously a joke. I was like, it's all in my ass, you know. But then that was a long time ago, and then a couple of years ago, no, a year ago or 2 years ago I think it was, I renewed it, and I went again, different country, different instructor obviously, and different place, obviously a different age, and it was the same. And so when I was down there, he goes, okay, let's give this a try, and took the weight belt off me. I started to float up to the surface, so I know that I'm very good at floating. So in my image, my visualization of me letting go of the branch and floating down the river, I could float. So then I thought, well, okay, I imagine I was going to put a float, like one of those floats you have at school, and I put it under my back just to kind of help with the whole buoyancy thing, and go down the river. And I thought, I don't need that, because you know what that was? It was somebody else's help. So I took it out. Nobody in particular. It was people's help to stay afloat, and I'm thinking, I don't need anybody's help to stay afloat. So I took it out and let it go, and it went back into the water, and I continued to float down. Now the water wasn't like rapids, it wasn't like turbulent, it wasn't like fast flowing like whoa, you know, it wasn't like that. It was really smooth and just moving, and it was great. So I've always had this dream of being a secret millionaire. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the program. They have it in the UK, I think they might have it in America. And I've always fancied being or really wanted, actually not fancied, really wanted to be a secret millionaire. Obviously I need the millions to become the secret millionaire, but basically, I mean, I know that I don't need that amount of money that being a millionaire has for me personally, but I also know there's a lot of good that can be done with that kind of money, so I need to make the money first, number one. But just to be kind of like listening to people's stories and finding out what it is they need, and not giving them like here's the money, it will solve the problems, but paying for something for them to help themselves and give them a leg up and stuff like that. And that is one thing that I've wanted to do for, I cannot remember how long. So as I'm floating down the river, first of all, the image came of me, because the river is the river of like abundance and flow and life and money and currency, the current, whatever it is, whatever the currency is or will be, we don't know. I'm in it and floating down. And I wasn't like, to start with, I was kind of like, is it me flinging money at the people? There's all these people along the banks of the river, all like little villages. I felt like it was like a river in kind of like the Amazon, or some kind of like jungle, but not too many trees, kind of place. And so I was like, was I flinging money at them? I was like, no, that's too crass. It wasn't that. It wasn't just flinging money out. It was, I was laying there and was gently floating. All these people, like especially little kids and women, were coming to the banks of the river, and they were like waving at me and smiling at me. And then what it was, they were calling out their stories to me. They were telling me their stories. And as I'm laying there, like totally comfortable on this water flowing down the river, they're telling me all their stories from left and right, all their stories. And I wasn't going that fast that I couldn't hear them. I was going slow enough to, and I was literally absorbing all their stories. And they were sharing them with me, because not like, oh my gosh, please help me, not like those kind of stories. Like, they were stories of like hope and dreams and things like that. And I was loving it, and I was listening to all these stories, and I knew that I could help them. I knew that I could do some good and help them with the currency, because I was in the current. This only just dawned on me, actually, the relationship between the word currency and current as I'm talking. I could help them with what I had, the currency that I had. And I don't really know, I couldn't really work out whether I was like passing water like up, or what I was doing, or whether I was going to come back to them later or what. But at this point I was just absorbing just absorbing their stories. Anyway, so I'm flowing down, but then back to David Bayer, the second step he had was forgiveness, and part of the forgiveness was you need to forgive other people for whatever they've done. Doesn't mean say it's okay, obviously, it just means you forgive that hold that they have, because what it does, it leaks your energy out. So he's like, you have this kind of thing around you, and you've got holes in it and cords, and every time you hold resentment towards someone because of whatever the situation is, that resentment cord is leaking away your energy. And while your energy is leaking away, that's not serving you anyway, and because your energy is leaking, you can't radiate the high frequency needed to attract the whatever it is that you need, the abundance that you need or want, whatever. So my interpretation of that, there weren't any cords, but I have this kind of like dome, and it was my oh my gosh, what's the word, something of peace. It was like this dome. So as I'm floating down the river, there's like this dome over me, and I was protecting my peace. I had to protect my peace, because I've been fighting and arguing and explaining and things, you know, just life things with your family and people and stuff over and over again, and I'm getting nowhere. Except they probably don't even like me or resent me, I don't know, but I'm explaining things so much, but by the part after each explanation that I have to do, I'm exhausted. I'm absolutely exhausted at the end of it. I'm sick of people not believing me or anything like that. I think it's called mansplaining, or is that when the man does it? I don't know, whatever. But fucking hell, it's hard work. So I've decided that's not working. Trying to explain what's the wrong thing, what's the right thing, and who am I to decide that anyway. But in my world, what's wrong and what's right for me, instead of explaining that anymore, I've decided to protect my peace. That's way more important. So protect my space. And so when I was laying down on the floor on my front porch this morning, I had this dome, imaginary dome around me, and there was holes in it. And what I was doing was plugging up the holes, like with like some kind of like stuff, I don't know, plaster of Paris or gum, or I don't know what it was actually. It was just some stuff. I was plugging them up, but anything or any situation that was inside of that was eating at me, I was pushing it out, like out you go, pushing it through the hole, poking it through, and then sealing the hole up with my hand, the flat of my hand, and rubbing it. And it was white, whatever it was, and the dome of peace was white, but it was also translucent, so I could see exactly where I was going, and it felt incredible. And all I kept saying was, I'm protecting my peace. And I hadn't got to the point where there's any forgiveness yet, but I know that's what I was doing. As I was flowing, I was absorbing all these stories, but all these little things from my life kept coming up. So I was like putting it back through the hole, rubbing it down, and protecting my peace. Oh my gosh, it felt incredible. It felt absolutely incredible, like just radiating out all the shit, you know, all the shit that really just pisses you off through the day. But I don't mean like little things. I'm talking about they piss you off through the day because they have a big, deeper meaning that goes back to whenever. All those things that's holding me back from working. When I say working, I mean creating. I need to get out of that word, actually, working. That's another thing just like that's getting to me. I don't like to use the word work. It's like I'm creating, I'm making, I'm earning, I'm whatever. Anyway, stuff that I'm doing. And protect my peace. So I think that's my thing for today is that. So I've let go of the branch. I'm no longer resisting what's trying to come for me. I mean, I've had my legs and my body in this water for so long, and it's rushing through me, and I'm just literally holding on to this branch, sometimes by like one hand, sometimes like both hands. And the water's flowing and the opportunities are there, but I'm just not taking it for whatever reason. I don't know, I'm a good swimmer, I don't know. This time I like let go, floating. These little people on the banks of the river, left and right, telling me their stories. I'm absorbing their stories. It's making me feel amazing because I know now, without a doubt, I know that I can help them.